Hey guys, in this video I want to talk about the Galaxy generations. So we have 5 generation Galaxy S phone S. Okay, this is the S4. So S3, S4, S5, S6, and the S7. I want to talk about what has been improved over the years, and then of course we came from S3 to S7. Of course there are S2 and S1, but I don't have them. S2 I like smashed it. I remember maybe like a year ago. And Galaxy S, I wasn't a YouTuber at that time. So yeah, the Galaxy S3. First of all, if we talk about from design wise, so of course for the first three here, including the S1 and S2, and then S3, S4, S5 for 5 generations, the Samsung used plastic for their design, and you can see Galaxy S3 was like the best-selling phone at that time. So it's still pretty awesome, and you can see it has pure plastic, and Samsung don't make these type of phones anymore. I mean, we have a new Galaxy E3, or I think it's like J3. Yeah, it's J3 2016. It is plastic, but still, they have made the design really good. So yeah, it looks a little bit better than the Galaxy S3 here, but it's hard to imagine that this phone was their best-selling phone at that time. Then we have the Galaxy S4. So with the S4, they really improved the design, and this design was actually adopted in the S6. So you can see here they look very similar. I mean, Galaxy S6 looks like a Galaxy S4 made up of a glass and a metal frame. So yeah, the S4 they did right. They switched the design a little bit, and then with the S5, everything was just bad for Samsung. I mean, they made the back really cheap. I mean, and according to most of the people, Galaxy S5 was the cheapest phone out of all the Galaxy S series. You can see here because the back is just really cheap. It looks like really cheap. It looks like it can break pretty easily. But feature-wise, the Galaxy S5 was the best one, compared to the S4, S3, S2, and S1, because it brought a lot of features. They included a heart rate sensor. It was first debuted on the S5. They also bring the ultra power saving mode. They also brought a download mode first in this series. They also made this phone waterproof. It also has USB 3.0 charging port down here, which is cool, but of course it was way early to do that, and nobody actually had that 3.0 charger. So yeah, so that's why they dropped it in the early, or after the Galaxy S5, the S6 and 7. They have USB 2.0. So you can see this was waterproof, and of course this plastic thing that comes off, it was really cheap also, because I'm just happy because it's still attached here, but for a lot of people it just came off. So yeah, I think the Galaxy S5, they brought a lot of features. They thought that they have done very well, but comparison to the Apple, I think they released like iPhone 5s at that time, so which used to be like very premium compared to the S5. So S5 was the cheapest one in terms of design and all that, but it was the good best one when it comes to feature wise. Then came the Galaxy S6. Everything was just changed. They become back to their original level. They came back to their original level, and as a smartphone king, like people say, and the design is just so amazing. Galaxy S6 versus S5, it was day and night. Okay, so the back was fully made up of glass. We got the camera was bulging out a little bit. That's what people hate about a little bit for the S6, and then we have a full metallic frame. So Samsung listened to their customers and made this phone extremely premium. So of course it's off at the moment, but yeah, it is. This is like one of the best Galaxy phones ever when it comes to design. And they introduced the S6 Edge, and oh my god, the Galaxy S6 lineup was absolutely best for Samsung in terms of sales and all that. And again, after that, they brought the Galaxy S7, which people are saying the S6s, just for because there's no like major change. But if you look closely, they did improve the design of the S6 a little bit more with the S7. So first of all, you can see that we don't have any metal frame anymore on the 7 here that we can see from the back. It's now curved like the Note 5, so for a better grip. So the sides are made up of aluminum, but of course no full aluminum sides that we can see from the back also. So it's curved like Note 5 for better grip, and it's fatter. It's fatter, a little bit fatter compared to the S6. So they made the phone fatter because of a bigger battery. That's nice, because bigger battery is better than having a thinner phone. So overall, I think the biggest change in terms of design was with the Galaxy S6. Hands down, the S6, the best one when it comes to design. And it just got more better with the Galaxy S7. So let's talk about the next thing, which is going to be the software. So the software, of course, on these all these models, of course, they were using TouchWiz Android and TouchWiz on top. TouchWiz is the name of their skin, and I think they still call it TouchWiz even with the Galaxy S7. So every year they came with the new Android version, and they improved the TouchWiz, but it feels to be very similar, you know. I mean, obviously, I'm not a fan of the TouchWiz UI, basically. So for my older devices, I'm running like some kind of Marshmallow ROM on this one, which I made a video about it. So I think with the TouchWiz UI, they improved it. At first, the TouchWiz had a lot of bloatware. I think with the S5, it was just so much bloatware everywhere, and they finally learned it, and they made it less on the Galaxy S6, and with the S7, it's gone. If you buy the international variant, there's a lot less bloatware. I mean, only one page of apps when you first boot your brand new Galaxy S7, so that is pretty cool. Okay, so let's talk about the displays on these phones. So coming from the Galaxy S3, the S3 had a 4.8 inch display around about, and it is 720p. So I think back in the days, 720p was like a big mainstream thing. So yeah, 720p is nice. I mean, we do have 720p displays nowadays on their small phones like J3, A3. Still 720p Super AMOLED display. Looks really good. And the next we have the Galaxy S4. They upgraded to 1080p, which is pretty cool, and that was also a nice upgrade. And also they increased the display to, I think, 5.0 or 4.99. So every year they increase the display a little bit. Then comes the Galaxy S5, which also has a 1080p HD display, which is, I think, it's like 5 inch to be accurate, around like 5 inch. So yeah, so it's still, the resolution remained the same, but it increased in the size. Then came the Galaxy S6 here, which had a 5.1 inch display, quad HD. So definitely, like I said, display wise, S6 again, the biggest upgrade, quad HD. They really made a big jump. And then with the S7, again a quad HD display, same screen size as the Galaxy S6. But of course now they made another changes in terms of design and all that, but display is pretty much the same. And I agree with that, because currently we don't need any upgrade in terms of display. We don't really need a 4K display. Yeah, it's gonna be nice to see a 4K display on a Note 6. Maybe there will be like Note 6, certain variant of Note 6 that can have like a 4K display. But yeah, currently I think Quad HD is incredible, and it's absolutely normal. We don't really need a 4K display at this point. Now let's take a look at the hardware of these phones. Now with the Galaxy S3, they only had one variant. Oh no, actually they had two variants. One was coming with a dual-core chipset, and one was coming with a quad-core chipset. So but with the Galaxy S6, they had only one variant, because Qualcomm they fucked up pretty bad, and they had like heating problem and stuff like that. So yeah, the Galaxy S3, this one was having Exynos 4412 chipset. quad core, 1 gigs of RAM. Then the American variant had like dual core and 2 gigs of RAM. It was pretty nice performance overall. I mean, the GPU inside of the Galaxy S3 is Mali 400. This is the GPU still available in most of the MediaTek devices, so it's pretty fine and still can run games like GTA San Andreas without a problem. And I'm not lying, I did a video about the GTA San Andreas maybe 8 or 9 months ago. But we have the Galaxy S4. Then again, the S4 comes with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 600 chipset. That was a big upgrade. In terms of benchmarks wise, performance wise, the RAM was also bumped to 2 GB. And then comes the Galaxy S5. It comes with the Snapdragon 801. So the thing here with the S4 also, there were 2 variants, the Exynos variant that was coming with quad-core Exynos 5 chipset, then a Qualcomm variant, and then the S5, same thing, Exynos Qualcomm, one was coming with Exynos chipset, and the other variant was coming with Qualcomm Snapdragon 801. Then the S6, again, like I said, Qualcomm heating issues, so they went with only Exynos 7420 chipset, and definitely it's like the first time I feel like the Galaxy S6 is a phone that people can use still for another year without having the urge to upgrade, okay, without having a need to upgrade. So if you have a Galaxy S6, I think you are pretty much satisfied in terms of speed. If you have watched my speed test video with the Galaxy S7 Edge versus the S6, you should watch that video out, because S6 was just tiny bit slower compared to the S7 Edge. Even in some tests it was faster. So personally, I think if you have a Galaxy S6, it's also a good option if you stay on it, if you don't upgrade at all. But if you really want to upgrade, then yeah, it's your personal call. But still, S6 is definitely a phone that with, in terms of chipset wise, it is a phone that you can still use for another year. Then comes the Galaxy S7, which is taking the things to the next level, coming with Exynos 8890 chipset, and of course there's a Snapdragon 820 variant also. So people are claiming that Snapdragon 820 is like a faster variant, but what I've seen on internet that there are differences in terms of benchmarks. Of course, those people who prefer benchmarks will like Snapdragon 820, but in terms of real life performance, you're not going to notice any difference. They both are blazingly fast. And again, I think the S7, if you have the S7, I think you can use it for 2 years without a need to upgrade, because it has 4 gigs of RAM for multitasking, Exynos 8890. So extremely smooth experience on the S7. So again, in terms of comparison wise, the Galaxy S3 Exynos variant become outdated in 1 year. I mean, it started to lag like hell when they updated to KitKat. So people they had to upgrade to the S4 for better experience. And same thing happened with the S4. It became outdated, and they had to upgrade to the S5. And then same thing happened to the S5. It became really slow and shit in terms of performance. I'm not gonna lie, I faced a lot of lag. Of course, I'm not being rude here. I know still some people use these old phones, but yeah, that's the truth. And of course, I have custom ROMs running. They have Lollipop and have some tweaks and all that. They look good, but of course, I really don't prefer to use these phones as my main phone. Of course, no reason, because they have battery life not up to the level and all that stuff. And then when the S6 was released, everything was changed. Like I said, it's still incredibly fast. In terms of UI wise, you're not gonna see this phone hanging or doing crazy stuff. So still, like I said before, if you make the decision to just stay on the S6 for another year, awesome. I respect that decision. It's still worth the use. And then comes the Galaxy S7. Like I said, again, I feel the same for the S7. Even though, of course, of course, I don't know how heavy the Android N experience will be and all that stuff, but I'm pretty sure that you can use this phone for another year. Okay, so let's talk about camera. Now, camera also improved a lot over the years, of course. 8 megapixel with the Galaxy S3, then it became 13 megapixel with the Galaxy S4, then it became 16 megapixel with the Galaxy S5, and again remained 16 megapixel, but they improved the sensor and all that. And then it became 12 megapixel. So megapixel count is now even less than the Galaxy S4, but it is better than all these models, because it's not always about megapixels. It's not always about resolution. So it's because the sensor size matters. more than the resolution of the camera. So they made the camera sensor bigger. The aperture size is now f1.7, which is, I think, the highest one on any smartphone currently, flagship smartphone, if we talk about, of 12, 16. So it has way brighter results when it comes to photos, and it produces some amazing results when it's compared to other phones like iPhone 6s Plus, especially in terms of low light. So yeah, with the Galaxy S7, they took like a really different pathway by making the sensor size bigger as compared to the resolution. So yeah, that is awesome, and I definitely think that with the next year with the Galaxy S8, they're gonna do the same thing by making even bigger sensor size, and they're not gonna focus on just resolution, not focus just on megapixels. So quality wise, of course, quality improved on all these phones. The 4K video recording was first debuted on the Galaxy S5. It's still pretty awesome that they have 4K video recording on the S5, because a lot of major Android phones doesn't have 4K recording, including a phone which I'm going to show you here. It's called as Mate 8. This phone is a flagship phone from Huawei, and it doesn't record in 4K. So still, it might not be a big deal for you guys, but still, it is a big deal for some people. 4K videos, every phone has it. Even the iPhone 6s comes with a 4K video recording option. So then with the S5 and then with the S7, still we have the 4K available. We have full HD with 60 FPS. So I mean, camera-wise, definitely Samsung is the leading. They produce one of the best cameras every year. So I'm really happy for the Galaxy S7 in terms of camera. Let's talk about storage. Now, storage is something that was always a good thing for Samsung phones, because they included the what you call SD card, yes, external option for storage expansion. That was really good. So if we talk about the storage here, first off, with the Galaxy S3, I think it came with the 16 gigabyte and also an option for 32 gigabyte, but it has this removable back, and you can insert like a memory card for storage expansion. So that was really awesome. And then same thing continued with the Galaxy S4. You can remove the back and insert a memory card to increase the storage and all that. Same thing with the S5. And then it was over with the Galaxy S6. So at that point, we really thought that there was not going to be any micro SD card support for any Samsung phone in the future. But now with the Galaxy S7, they finally realized, and they made their phone better again by producing this memory card slot option. But they also took a major step here, because there will be no 64 gigabyte or 128 gigabyte variant of the Galaxy S7. At least for now. I mean, they have told everyone that there's going to be only 32 gigabyte variant with the micro SD card slot. So that's good, because if you can hop in like a 128 gigabyte SD card inside of your Galaxy S7, you can record a lot of photos. You can capture a lot of photos and record a lot of 4K videos, and you can store that on your SD card. So that's pretty cool. And then you can use the internal SD card or internal memory as your for apps and other stuff. So I think definitely they should have to offer like a 64 gigabyte memory variant for the Galaxy S7, because it might be less for some people who install a lot of heavy games from Play Store. But that's just my opinion. I think for me, it's enough. It's enough. It's decent. Same thing with the RAM. It became better and better over the years. So S3 had 1 gigs of RAM. The S4 had 2 gigabyte of RAM. Then 2 gigabyte on the Galaxy S5. So there was no RAM upgrade from S4 to the S5. But from the S5 to the Galaxy S6, they improved the RAM. They made the RAM up to 3 gigabyte for the S6 here. From the S5 to S6, and they also improved the RAM from the S6 to S7 and bumped it to 4 gigabyte, which will definitely going to provide more multitasking experience. Now overall, with the Galaxy S7, you do get 4 gigs of RAM, but still, if we take a quick look at how much RAM is free when everything is closed in the background, so I'm going to go into main settings. There is a thing called as Smart Manager, okay? And if you go into RAM, you can see that everything is closed, and I don't even have a lot of apps installed. Still, we have almost 59%, I think it's 59% or 59% used. And you can see settings is running, of course, other stuff, briefing and stuff like that. But still, you can see 1.5 gigs of RAM is free out of 4 gigs. And if we compare it very quickly with the Huawei's flagship phone, which is the Huawei Mate 8, you can see I do have like 2 apps open, but still it's 2.22 gigabyte free out of 4. So still, multitasking wise, Samsung's not quite there. I think they should have to work a little bit. And again, that is TouchWiz there for you. You know, their briefing and other stuff just keeps running in the background. So even though we have 4 gigs of RAM, we don't exactly get full 4 gigs of RAM, or not even 2 gigs of RAM for the multitasking. So let's talk about the battery, which is the last thing I want to talk about, and it's also very important. So with the Galaxy S3, the battery was 2100 milliamp hours, and it was good. It was like good for early time, you know, when you buy the phone and use it for some few months. But after that, it became horrible and horrible. I still remember that I rooted this phone and I installed like Cia kernel and for better battery stuff. And I mean, definitely for a 2100 milliamp hour battery size with a 720p display, it wasn't that great actually. Then it became better with the Galaxy S4. It bumped to 2600, which was also good for 1080p, but then again, it was with the lack of optimization and more bloatware, the battery was getting eaten up a lot by software. Then it became then with the Galaxy S5, it became more bigger to 2800. Again, the bloatware was there, and still people were not that happy as far as the battery life. But it was better than the S4 and S3 for sure. But again, when it got bumped to the S6, it was actually smaller. It bumped to smaller battery size when it comes to the S6 here. It has a 2550 2550 milliamp hours of battery. So the reason why it got smaller, because they just removed a lot of bloatware. They also optimized it. They did some optimization. So yeah, but still, battery wise, the Galaxy S6 was quite not there. It wasn't that much of a great experience. You still had to plug in the charger, and you know, it was very difficult to get like 1 day out of one day plus usage from the S6. Then came the Galaxy S6, and they finally changed their way of thinking. They made the phone thicker and inserted a bigger battery, which is 3000 milliamp hours. And I gotta say, it's improved. But I've read somewhere that its battery life is not that impressive. Now, personally, I haven't seen any problem with the battery life, but I'm pretty sure that it's actually worse compared to the S7 Edge. So if you're that much of a battery concern, and if you want the best battery life out of your phone, then S7 Edge is the phone to go with. It has a 3600 mAh battery, the highest on any Samsung Galaxy flagship, Galaxy S lineup flagship. So I'm using this phone as my main phone, and one of the main reasons to use this phone as my main phone is because of the battery, and that's the main reason why I switched from Nexus 6P to this one, and that is because of battery. And yeah, we're talking about the S7 here. It's definitely better compared to the S6 based on what I have seen, because, you know, compared to like what other people are saying, they're saying that its battery is actually worse than the S6. I don't know about that, but definitely battery wise, I think the S7 Edge wins it all, but it is better on the S7 compared to the S6. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed it. I just shared my thoughts on these Galaxy S models. So obviously I'm going to be doing a speed test video also, just for fun, you know. And also do let me know in the comment section down below which is your favorite Galaxy S model out of all these from S3 to S7. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Peace out.